Oh, there's my phone. It's over here. You have to see who you can become, right? To go do what you're about to go do, you have to see who you can become. And that's the key. That's the conversation we're going to have this morning. And this idea of, I think we're in this one. Yeah. Yeah. And the purpose is to figure out, why do we get stagnant? Why do we stay still? And we're busy as heck, but we're standing still as it relates to our progress line on our goals. The purpose is to shift from identity stagnation to signal-based emergence. The reason most of us, not all of us, maybe not even you, but the reason that a lot of people that I work with are stuck is not because they don't know what to do. It's definitely not because they don't know what to do. It's 100% not because they don't have the skills. The reason people stay stuck is they don't operate from their true signal. They keep adding stuff to. I need to do this. I need to change that. I need to upgrade this. I need to do that. And maybe that stuff is all needed. The reason that people struggle with it is because it's not from the pure signal that's them. So I want to help you move from create an understanding of a spiral psychology, upward spiral psychology, and signal versus strategy, and a clarity of why. So the reason that you're here is, number one, I know you're not lazy and you're not lacking in skill. The problem is you're running out of action, right? Remember the 4-box quadrant? Top left over here on your side, top left part of the box is potential. The top right of that box is action. If you have 100% potential in this day, let's just say today, you have 100% potential. You have access to 100% action. What percentage of the action to move you towards your goal do you have available to you? 100%. You might be doing 3%, 50%, 60%. It's not of the right action. It's not of the action in the right signal. The problem is you're not running out of action. Some of us they're exhausted because of the action. You're not running out of action. You're running out of self-permission. That's the challenge, the permission to upgrade your identity. This isn't a hustle issue, it's a signal issue. You're executing tasks from the past version of you. You're doing today's tasks based on who you were yesterday, which is why we say things like, that won't work for me. I've tried that before. I don't do things like that. The old version of you probably doesn't do things like that. The version of you that's waiting to be seen, waiting to show up, waiting to arrive, is the one that does those things. You're not executing tasks from a past version, but the world is waiting for who you're becoming. You're executing tasks from the past version, and the world is waiting for who you're becoming. That's what the world is waiting on. They want you. Who are you about to become? In politics, if somebody is doing well, they say riding their coattails. People want to ride your coattails. And it's going to be almost impossible for you to get someplace without somebody riding along on your coattails. And we have to be okay with that. That's what people are waiting for. So here's the identity loop versus signal emergency challenge. The identity loop, craving why trap. I just want to help people. You don't know anybody who says that? I just want to help people. That's craving significance. I need to get this right. That's craving safety. This is the craving you have. This is the why craving you have that you don't know. When people say, what's your why? Nobody says, oh, I'm craving significance. Hey, tell me your why. I'm craving safety. Nobody says that. Yet that's the psychological reality of it. This is the identity loop. This is the craving of why. Why do I want this? Because I'm craving significance. I'm craving safety. Visibility becomes a threat, not an invitation. That's why people don't like to publicly speak, because they're afraid they're going to screw it up. They're fearful that they're going to make a mistake. They're craving safety, yet want to be seen. All right? Symptoms of this loop. Symptoms of this identity of craving. Over customizing offers. Underpricing. I could probably be guilty of those. Constant pivoting. Self-censorship on camera. Strategy hopping. Which part of you is still seeking permission to be seen? That's your mirror exercise. Which part of you is still seeking permission to be seen? What voice usually says, but what if I'm wrong? Right? But what if I'm wrong? So let's see who you can become. That's the conversation. The future self of you isn't a fantasy. It's a preloaded signal waiting for integration, waiting for you to connect, waiting for you to install or operate from it. Identity isn't built from proving. It's turned on. It's turned into. Identity isn't built from proving. Hey, Molly. It's turned into your identity. So here's the tie-in. Signal doesn't chase clarity. Signal is clarity. I just got to get clear on this. I got to figure this out. When you get your signal, your DMP, your definite major purpose, your white hot burning desire, you're as clear as a bell. Even the unknown becomes easy to begin. So this idea, this clarity why, right? So if I have this clarity, my goal, my why is clarity. This is a gravitational why. This is one that has mass. It has heaviness. It has weight to it. And it doesn't need a strategy to move. When you have a clarity why, not a I need to have a significance, I need to have a craving, this craving of wanting and wishing and hoping versus a clarity of it's done, get out of my way. So if you close your eyes right now What do I already know about who I'm becoming that I haven't let myself believe yet? What? What do I already know about who I'm becoming that I haven't let myself believe yet? That would be valuable to be in your journal. What do I already know about who I'm becoming that I haven't let myself believe yet? So, visibility isn't performance. It's a tuning fork. The reason it feels hard to be seen isn't because you don't know what to say. It's because you're trying to speak from the wrong version of self. The you that said yes to the presentation, the you that says yes to I'm going to do a live, the you that says yes to the training program you're going to do, the challenge you're going to do, is not the same version who shows up to speak. When you get excited and say, man, I've got the skills, I've got the talent, I've got the voice, I got the words, I have the decades of experience. The reason it feels hard to be seen isn't because you don't know what to say. It's because you're trying to speak from the incorrect signal, the incorrect version of self. So here's some insight. Visibility stress equals internal misalignment. If you are struggling when people see you, there's an internal misalignment. Every time you publish from not yet me, that version of you, not yet, that's not yet me, you train your system to self-betray. The not yet, well, not yet. I'm right, but no, not yet. No, I got to do more of this. I got to do that. And so what you're doing is you're training your nervous system, you're training your brain, you're training your physiology, your psychology to self-betray, to find, you won't believe what happened. Oh my gosh, this happened and that happened. And things just went crazy and cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Every time you publish from the not yet me version, you're training your system to self-betray. True clarity, I only speak from the version of me that's real, even if raw. The challenge with speaking out loud or doing a live or doing a presentation, what I've seen when I train people in public speaking, is they want to get it perfect. They want to get the words perfect. There's a point at which the words aren't the signal. It's everything else. They may have great content. They may not have an or an or a stutter in their whole presentation. Yet the whole thing seems stressed, seems pushed, seems uncomfortable because their signal, their body language, their motions, their stiffness, their not being comfortable at all. Every time you publish from not me, not yet, you're training your system to self-betray. True clarity, I only speak from the version that's real, even if raw. Bill Gove, the father of public speaking, one of the most listened to audios he ever had, was this audio for network marketing. And he said, he begins it with, listen, I was asked to do this recording by my dear friend, I think it was Becky, my dear friend Becky. And I told her I didn't have much time. I would do it just as soon as I could. So this is me doing it now. So I got to give you some heads up. I'm really not prepared for this. So if you hear some ums or ahs, that's me just being raw. That's me being real right now with you. So if you're okay with that, let's get started. And there wasn't an or an ah in there. He knew he was speaking to an audience that wanted to speak publicly, that needed to do presentations in front of somebody or in front of an audience. If you show up as your true self, you're what Brene Brown says, your vulnerability gives us courage. See, if you're showing up wanting to show up as courage, teach from courage, that's probably not the real you. The courage comes from you doing it anyways, being scared and doing it anyways. Stop trying to look finished. Start trying to sound honest. Stop trying to look finished. Start trying to sound honest in your conversation. So, choose a trait of your future self and embody it in your next action. What if the next trait you have is you move away from precision? What if you move into precision? What if you understood what precision meant in your world? What does precision mean to you? What if you publish, you produce from peace? How many of you have had an inkling to do a promotion, to do a presentation, to do a post and didn't follow it? That inkling, those little voices in your body, those little voices in your head are signals wanting to get to the surface. What if you ask questions? Imagine this. Imagine you go into a room and it's a room of people you've never met. And it's a room of people who have done wildly well in that particular profession. This is kind of a group of professionals, of individuals, whatever it is. And it's something you're good at too. Yet when you show up, you start to see everybody as better than you. And you start to ask questions. You want to learn some. What happens? Listen carefully. Feel the shift in your body. How many of you are feeling a little uncomfortable right now? You're showing up in a room of people who do what you do, and you have a perception that they're all better than you. And you start to ask questions. Imagine the questions you would ask if you feel like you don't belong. Now let's have a shift. What if you were to ask questions as somebody who already belongs? You're showing up with a room of successful people, and your identity of your success, you feel, oh man, I don't know if I really belong in this room. I know I've said that in rooms. Yet soon as I arrived and realized I had a unique experience none of them in the room had. Every one of us had an experience that nobody else in the room had. It made us unique. It gave us our badge to belong. It didn't matter the level of success. It mattered that we were working in a similar field and we all had success. If you've had any level of success in your field, you belong in that room. Now, what happens if you begin to ask questions of your fellow successful individuals? If you feel you already belong in that room, do you feel a shift in your body? I belong here. I want you to take that feeling with you from now until forever. In your room of success, in your room of achievement, I already belong. That's activating your signal. So this identity loop, this same identity loop that keeps you stuck month after month, year after year, decade after decade, it's because you're not operating from your signal. Your signal is this vibration. It's already inside of you. It doesn't have to be learned. It's important to chip away what's not your signal. And if you're asking, what's my signal? The way you find that is through space, is through taking time, is through asking the question, show me my signal. Where's my signal? Find my signal. Your signal exists. It's shown up many times in your life. When you're having your best day ever, that is your signal. Why do we lose our signal? Because we think it makes other people uncomfortable when we have success. We become uncomfortable because sometimes our signal is so strong and so clear, we can't describe, we can't explain our success. And we want to help other people succeed and we can't explain it to them. It's why somebody else's script that's working for them, that's creating success for them, won't work for you. I can give you the world's greatest script to enroll 100% of the people you meet. Because it's 100% of the people I meet. It's my signal. You can give a great script, a great presentation, the great words to somebody. And you know what'll happen? They won't have success. I was given a script that worked perfectly for the vice president of sales of a particular company I worked with, an estate planning company, and I could never get the script to work for me. When I shifted it, when I changed the script, I didn't change the content, I changed the flow of the script, and I changed the way it was presented. I used my signal. My results skyrocketed. And they didn't like it. They liked the results. They put up with the shift, the signal change. They didn't like that I was being successful not using their script. They really didn't. They said, this has worked for 20 years. Like, doesn't work for me. If your goal is to produce results, happy customers, and customers who are repeat customers, we can do it this way. And what happened is that they actually adopted my new frequency, my new signal, and everyone's sales increased. I'm not saying you need to adopt my signal. I'm just saying there is a certain signal, a certain vibration, a certain outbound messaging that's not your words. When you are in state and it shows up and you feel good, that's more important than anything else. So keep working, keep chipping away to allow your signal to emerge, and you'll be amazed. That's our conversation today. See who you can become. See who you can become today. See what you can expand, what you can grow, what you can chip away. See who you can become today. That's what this is all about, is to see who you can become. Questions, comments, thoughts? Good to see everybody this morning. Happy July 1st. Questions, comments, thoughts? Do, 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 do. The words were, I was muted. Oh, happy Canada Day. Go, oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. Hey, AJ.
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
Good, Mr. Scarman.
I would I'd have to think about the return on that. But all right. Yeah, I wanted to tell you a lot of stuff yesterday and I just couldn't get on and it was so frustrating.
Why was it
The Lord,
frustrating? Why was it
man,
frustrating?
man, the Lord works in mysterious ways, man.
Yeah. Why was it frustrating? Why did you let a piece of technology take you out of your joy?
Well, um, that was
Jim Rohn
interesting.
would say, what would Jim Rohn would say? That's a clue.
Yeah, man, whatever. I'm just kidding.
Well,
Okay.
the biggest reason is that your identity would have shifted. It was probably
Yeah.
such powerful self-recognition that you were about to share. It would have changed your identity forever. And the old story, it's there. It's behind the scenes. It's right around the corner. It's constantly watching you. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Yeah, it's your old story. And it figured out a way to mess up technology that nobody else had a problem with. So now shame shows up. Why did this happen to me? I can't believe this is happening. This is so stupid. What? And you're going, and you're getting aggravated. For what? The joy you had to tell me was still the joy you had to tell all of us. There's no reason to get frustrated. What it did was is it caused you. You can't even remember it today. That's how vile this old story is. That's how evil this old story is. The old identity loop is vicious. Vicious. We are our worst critic, huh? If you only knew. So the good news is to say, don't keep saying I was so frightened. I can't believe I couldn't get in. That was yesterday. Today you got in. Look how easy it was to get in.
Yeah, it worked.
Shift your vibration. Now, this is youth. And I say youth, there's people who are 80 years old who are learning this, and they're only learning it for a year. They're a year old. You're 5 years old. This is still youth. It's a neat experience. I'd chalk it up. I'd never forget the yesterday. And what I mean by that is to tell the story of the next person who experiences this, because here's what I know between today and tomorrow. You're going to have somebody who's going to have the exact same experience. They couldn't share their joy with something because their car broke down, they ran out of something. And you're going, oh, this happens to everybody every day. I didn't know to look at it that way. This happens every day to everyone. It's a story that everybody's about to tell you. Every story you're about to hear is going to be equal to what you experienced yesterday. And you're the one that's to help them offer a new perspective because it really happened to you and it was real and raw. So, other than that, hey, good morning. Good to see you.
Yeah, man, good stuff. Thank you. That was interesting. And I remembered what I wanted to say. So,
Oh, no way.
yeah, when you mentioned identity,
Shocking.
I remembered because I journaled about it, and so over the weekend didn't really do much. I was at home pretty much, and didn't do the steps, you know.
Oh, wow.
And then
Huh.
yeah, and then I figured, well,
Oh,
why is
and
this the
from so
case?
not doing the steps, then you had a crappy day. Wow, it sounds like a downward spiral. Go ahead. Shut up. Shut up, Sean. Let me talk.
You do you, man. And then I realized, well, I didn't really do much, and then it hit me. I started journaling, and I was like, okay, so this was fairly easy, and I know that I'm speaking for folks at home as well, because I know y'all be slacking on some stuff, like I do, like all of us do. It was so easy to fall out of character, put it that way, and not do the steps, which then led me to understand that this identity of a guy that does that, just, I mean, it's just a standard. It's not even brought up for questioning. It's just what you do. I realized that I obviously haven't up until that point kind of adopted this new identity in such an intensity that it's not easy to fall out of track. Because I mean, it's so easy. I mean, I was just at home all weekend long. I was just not doing much, and I was like, oh, so this is how easy it is unless you fully adopt that. And I was real happy about that awareness. And this is the question I wanted to ask. This is what I want to brag a bit. Here's the question. Um, Sometimes, so I do this sometimes. Let's say maybe every couple months,
Mhm.
I dedicate an evening to look at old pictures,
Uh,
right? To look at old, pics and videos. And for some reason, I'm curious to find out what the reason is. For some reason, I'm sometimes, especially when I do that, I am extremely nostalgic towards, let's say, the period of 2022, 2023. And I journaled about that as well. I was like, why am I being nostalgic about this? I pretty much do the same stuff now, and I'm feeling kind of nostalgic towards that. And I was like, well, why is that the case? That's still uncertain to me for some reason.
So what happens if your curiosity is satisfied?
Well, I guess I just don't be nostalgic about that anymore.
Well, here's the nostalgia usually means a warm fuzzy feeling of I long for the days of old. So when you're nostalgic about it, do you get a feeling of, man, I wish I could do that again, or I really enjoyed those moments? What's the feeling behind your nostalgia? Give me a vibrational target that your nostalgia brings you to.
I would say the mixture of what you said. So at the same time, I feel like, oh man, that was, I mean, we were the gang back then, and then I feel like, well, I do that again. I mean, I still do that,
Okay.
just not the same people, just different people now, and then different places, I guess.
So how long ago was that?
That was, let's say, 2 and 3 years ago.
Okay, so 2 and 3 years from now, how old will you be?
Oh
25,
God, 27. Jesus,
27. So
Jesus.
that's why you're nostalgizing. I doubt that's a word. Bettering, right? You're because if you just went 27, Jesus, that's a signal. That was the nuclear bomb of awareness that I hear that's being hidden in your system. The fear of 27, holy crap, So how do we avoid the future? We long for the past. So the reason you're daydreaming of the past is because there's a part of you that you've already excelled way beyond most of the people around you. And if you keep this path up, you're not going to have any friends. Nobody's going to want to talk to you because nobody understands you now. What the hell are they going to understand when I'm 27 and I've doubled my success rate? Because that's the identity. If you have one BMW, you're going to have two BMWs. If you're co-owner or silent owner in a particular business now, are you going to have three more people want your time? Oh my God, I don't have time for that. I'm not going to have my free time. So we long for the time where it was easy. You could go back and could you go back and do what you did in 22 and 23 and 20? Easy. It'd be it'd be fall off a log for you. So here's what I want you to do. Tony Robbins has this visualization where you take this 2-year-old feeling, right? 2 years ago, this nostalgia, and you take this 2 years from now future feeling and you mash them together. And you'll literally feel it in your body. There will be a neuro response, a physiology response when you take that feeling and this feeling and you build this one up and you do this, literally physically do that with your hands. There's something in your body that just goes haywire. It's because they're not in alignment. What you did back then got you to the uncomfortable now. And the uncomfortable now is so uncomfortable now, we long for the past. Yet when we were there doing the work, doing the hustle, doing the struggle, doing the this was to get to here. The struggle never stops. The struggle ceases to exist the second you operate from your signal. If we don't operate from our signal, it is a continuous strategy. It is a continuous pulling the old story with us. The old story of yesterday, everything up to yesterday does not exist. Everything up till, what is it, 2 o'clock for you? What time is it for you? 2:30?
1:45.
1:45, 2 o'clock. So everything up to 1:45 does not exist anymore. It doesn't. It's impossible for it to exist. And yet you're going to step into 2 o'clock today with everything from yesterday. The frustration is that you're not paying attention to the moment. You're focusing on what was, what is, I couldn't get on, I couldn't this, whatever the story is. I want you to pay attention to how you felt, because this is how people feel all the time. Everybody you're about to go have a conversation with, the reason they talk about you and they're like, oh my God, you took your mom to Dubai, blah, 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 blah. They are constantly living in the past going, when's it going to be my turn? They sound like they're thinking in the future, but they're looking in their past as a complete failure because they never had a chance to go to Dubai. Can they go to Dubai? Could they go to Dubai today? Yes or no? Could they go? Is the opportunity to go to Dubai available to them?
Sure.
Then why are they so jealous of you having gone? Because their past, they've never went. Everybody is speaking from their past. Don't tell me where you've been, tell me where you're going. And when people say, oh, you're so lucky. No, what they're saying is my past was unlucky because they're in compare-itis. Their future has Dubai all over it if they want. And so rather than agreeing with what they want, they disagree with where your now is and say, my now is not equal to yours, going, oh, you're so lucky. And they try to chip away at your building. 2 ways to have the tallest building: build yours bigger or tear everybody else's down. And as you're building yours bigger, it becomes an easier target. So yesterday you were in the deconstruction of your own building. You were running around placing explosives in non-critical areas so that you would have something to repair. Nostalgia is a way to avoid the present. There's nothing wrong with going back in the past and reviewing. Man, that was so good. But if we say, I wish I had that, you'll never have that. You can have the feeling, take the feeling of the nostalgia. Man, I was good. I was doing well. Now say 20, when I'm 27, I've got this nostalgia for 20 when I turn 27. Don't have nostalgia for the past that you can't change. Have nostalgia for the future you can influence. It's okay to have nostalgia. We're just looking at it in the wrong direction. Could you imagine? Could you imagine driving a motorcycle with your side mirrors in reverse? If you got a motorbike that has reverse on it, imagine going down the highway in reverse. Now, most people talk about it in a car. That's why the windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror, because you're supposed to be looking forward, not in the rear view mirror. So nostalgia is a moment where we begin to operate in our rear view mirror. Oh, I know all of this. Oh, there's the house. There's the house that I just left. Oh, there's the this. Oh, yes, I know this. I know how to do that. And some people are awesome at driving in reverse. And it literally, we're driving away from our goals. Because it's easier to go do what we did and it'll get us where we are. And we don't want to be where we are. It's called a comfort zone. We don't even want to be where we are. And yet we worked this hard to get here. And now we want more, but we can't get more because that old version of you isn't capable of more because it only got you here. And there's this constant conflict inside of us that creates stress and cortisol, and we don't sleep at night. We got to take things to put us to sleep and to wake us up and to give us energy. That's the craziest thing in the planet. Why would you ever need energy? You have more energy in your body. You got enough energy in your body to run the major metropolitan city in your area for a week. 1.1 volts per cell, and you have 30 trillion cells. Go look how many volts. Do the math. How many billions, millions of volts do you have in your body? And you're telling me I'm tired. Really? Really? Put somebody in jeopardy, somebody's life in jeopardy who you love. I promise you, you'll have enough energy for days. You should go home and get some rest. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving till you're safe. That's why we'll do more for others than we will for ourselves. And we won't keep our promises. And then when we don't keep our promises to them, we're not even good enough to keep the promise to ourselves. So what do? Energy shows up and keeps us from getting onto a call. And we go, I was so frustrated. How? Seriously? You have everything in the world at your fingertips. That's just the old story trying to chip away, and you let it. How could you be frustrated? You're healthy, your leg is healing. You were with your dad, you were on a bike, you love that. You had the energy in you, it was amazing.
They went nuts over the picture. I mean, my mom was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? You freaking idiot!"
So was that
like,
before or after you tried to get on?
So I sent her a picture after I got home, actually.
So was that frequency in the universe after you tried to get onto the call or before you tried to get onto the call? When's the timing of that?
Oh, after. That was in the afternoon.
So you found a way to continue on the conflict. You knew your mom would freak out. And even if it was just kidding, listen, the universe doesn't know kidding or not. It doesn't know negative. It only knows everything to be true. Now, it's okay. You knew it would create conflict. And everybody else, like somebody asked, is that your bike? No, my bike's in two pieces.
Literally. Literally.
So all of this to say is that here's the great news. You want to know the great news? I mean, the unbelievably great news is that if you allow this awareness to seep in, for you to be able to hear it for what it's meant to be explained as, you'll be like, son of a gun. Wow, it's always trying to stop me. I love that I found it out in 72 hours, in 24 hours, in 12 hours, versus people go the rest of their life. The owners of the restaurant, Petrov and Maria,
Never gonna learn their names, man. I can't even.
that's how they wake up every day. And they're so used to it, they think they're having a good day when they get a deal at the vendor shop, with the supply place, when they get a deal and they load up their truck with all of this stuff. We allow ourselves short-term stories to deal with our long-term pain. And they called you their lucky charm. I bet they don't call you their lucky charm anymore, do they? Or still do they?
They do. They do.
Okay, good. Why? They had all this luck before you showed up. You helped them put them in signal. You have nothing to do with their luck. They have everything to do with their luck. And this is where Maslow says, be independent of the good opinion of other people. If we trace this back, if we go back 72 hours, 100 hours, I can promise you we're going to find a spot where somebody gave you recognition you didn't think you deserved. So you had to figure out a way to get back to even, to get back to this. If your upward ramp was like this, somebody showed up and said, oh my God, you're the most powerful thing in my life. And your upward scale went, whoop, it went hockey stick. And you're like, oh, no, I'm not ready for that. So what do? We find a way to take it right back down and get back on our path. Stay in your lane. I don't want to stay in my lane. I don't have a lane. How is it? There is no lane to your success. There is no lane to your success. There's only a direction. And if you've ever driven in Puerto Rico, where you come up to the toll booths, where there's 21 toll booths on the autopista, and somebody is over here and the cash one is over here, and they cut all across all 27 lanes. They just go, and nobody blows a horn because they're going to do it at the next autopista because they don't have the 35 cents. They need to go change $1. There's no lane when you have to get through success. There's only a direction. And we let other people's lanes, we will cross other people's lanes. Well, this is my lane. Stay in your own lane. You ever hear that? Stay in your own lane. Well, screw you. I don't know. Why do you have a lane? Why are you so limiting? How wide is your lane? Well, it's as wide as my car. How wide's your car? 8 feet. Your lane is only 8 feet for your future? Are you kidding me? It's no wonder nobody's winding up where they need to wind up. They can only go in this direction, and they're afraid to bump into anybody else. Get over it.
Good
Good morning.
stuff. Good stuff.
What'd you learn? What'd you
Interesting.
like?
Oh, we're on to that one. Well, there's definitely a room for improvement in terms of adopting this. Actually, let me put it this way: operating from my signal instead of kind of trying to force stuff down my throat because it's just not gonna work. Because at the first obstacle that happens, and they're gonna happen, it's just not gonna sustain. Or it is, but that then again I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna think to myself, well, maybe this walking and maybe this cooking and whatnot is going to be a chore
No.
instead of yeah instead
So
of something that I have to do.
what happens? Let's change would it be okay if your signal upgraded now?
Yes, sir.
So listen to what you said. As I go along and I hit obstacles, which there's going to be obstacles, what if there were no more obstacles? Because reality is it's impossible for you to have a future obstacle. What is it? Give me the definition of obstacle. When you used it in the sentence that you use, and this is for everybody. This is a training for everybody. He just happens to be on the help seat.
Sure, man.
Give me the definition of obstacle.
Challenge.
So if you have your true signal, is there ever a challenge?
Well,
It's
you don't.
impossible. It is impossible to have a challenge if your signal is tuned. You know what happens? So do you ever play an instrument? A stringed
I
instrument?
well, I mean, I used to try. I want to do the guitar, but
Okay, so imagine this. So imagine you're hitting the top string, the E, that bass string. Boom. And there's 15 other guitars in the room. All different kinds of guitars, but all tuned to the same correct E. They're all in tune. And one's a acoustic guitar, one is a steel string guitar, one's got catgut strings, another one has synthetic strings, another one has blah blah blah. There's 15 of these guitars. If you bang that E string, that bass string, that topmost string, what happens to all the other guitars? Nobody's touched them. What happens to all the other guitars? The E string vibrates on all of them. Did you know that?
sure did not.
Okay, so why would that happen? That's
Because the
scientifically
frequencies.
proven, and you can go see videos on it where this guitar is sitting right here and this one's sitting right here, and they bang this one, and you see this string who nobody touched starts to vibrate. Why? They're in tune. They're of the same frequency, they're of the same vibration. When the sounds emit from this one, anything in tune with it, it will vibrate with it. Period. That's science. The reason you got frustrated is because you didn't have control over your own vibration. You let your external reality influence your personality. You let I can't get on a call take the sails off your ship. The question is what did you get to do? Because this said this isn't important right now. After 3 or 4 attempts and getting frustrated and aggravated, going, wait a minute, something, I'm late for something or somebody cuts me off. I'm like, wow, thanks for keeping me out of the accident. Well, you're going to be late for your thing. I'd rather be late than not show up at all. Change the way you look at things. So everything has a vibration, and that external vibration overpowered your internal signal. And so here's the 4 stages of frustration: awareness, sadness. Oh my God, that's happened to me my whole life. Yeah. And it'll continue to happen until this awareness becomes part of who you are. And you're like, you can't take me off my signal. Then the excitement, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then it becomes the new normal.
Well, I guess it will be.
And that's where your journal comes in. When you got frustrated yesterday, did your subconscious say, okay, I'm better than a connection. I'm better than letting this thing take me out of my joy. Let me go back and read some of the amazing things I've done. It was just taking you off your signal. That's all. That's all it was. That's all it ever is. If you get mad, that's something taking you off your signal.
I actually wanted to do that, and then my dad came for lunch, and then we kind of shipped off my brother and his family to Greece. They went to Greece for a holiday, and I was gonna, and it's funny that you mention it now, but I was gonna I was gonna reread my entire journal, and so all of my journal entries from January till today,
Wow.
or yesterday.
Wow.
I was gonna do that later today, and it's funny that you mention it.
Hmm.
So
Shocking.
might be smarter than I think.
You are. And that's how the subconscious works. Going, okay, well, we know how to fix this. I'm not feeling good right now. I know how to fix this. Let me just go read my evidence file. And another distraction came. That's okay. Going, wow. Okay, this is family. This is good. My family pillar is something I wanted a little bit closer. I wanted to be able to have more of this. So this is good. If we're aware of it, it can't be in control of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If we're aware of the distraction, it can't create traction. And if timing of others is different than the timing of us, knowing that we control our story, they don't control theirs. Could you imagine if you said to them, listen, I need about an hour to read my journal and then I'll get back to you? It'd be like, what the hell? And that just creates more conflict. So if I know I can help elevate your story, not minimizing mine, knowing that this is a task that I've asked the universe to give me to be able to manage my frequency, to stay in state when I come to this thing that is different than I wanted, the unexpected, right? This is where people live in pain, is when they want certainty and significance. I don't live in certainty. I live in a knowing of no matter what shows up, I'm going to be outstanding. So this was just a little example of you being able to maintain your energy.
Yeah, I mean, as I was sitting there, I kept thinking, well, he came along.
Two
I don't
seconds. I
want
hear
to.
you. I'll be right back. Keep going.
Sure. So my dad came along, and I was like, "Hey, pops, I gotta, I wanted to do something," but he came for lunch, and we don't really go for lunch a lot. I mean, we do, let's say, maybe a couple times a month. And I was like, okay, so let's do that, and then we went straight to my brother's place. And as I was sitting there, I kind of remembered you, and I started thinking about you because when we want to come on here and pour our souls into this place, and you just sit there and you listen, I I felt like that yesterday. I was like, okay, this guy came along, so not gonna read the journal today. I'm gonna do it tomorrow, I guess. So it was great. Is MIA. I haven't. Oh yeah, by the way, yesterday as I couldn't get on the call, I had Luis message me and say, "Hey, well, you can maybe reset your computer and reset this." Yeah, Luis, I did it. Didn't work. Okay, I get it, Luis. I couldn't get.
Aw.
I was like, "Oh, no shiitake, Sherlock. Sure, I can reset it." Still didn't work. It was giving me a hard time for some reason. I don't know what happened, but that was
We've had
interesting.
some wild dogs on the property, so sorry.
Oh, again, goddamn, the shotgun needs to go out.
Well, I didn't need to get the shotgun this time, but
Goddamn.
so
I, it's so funny because I can literally, now that I've seen the range, thank God, I can literally imagine that, like you running away after some strays with the shotgun and Molly being there with you and Seamus. I can literally picture that. That's great.
see, that's the story though. Of the unknown, you can picture a story of the unknown. How cool is that? Which is all the wrap up for picture the story of 27, the unknown. Not oh Jesus.
27. This probably sounds funny to y'all, but
Uh,
27 gives me chills. I'm like, God damn, 27. Jesus, man, am I gonna get arthritis at that time, or what's gonna happen, man? Jesus. But yeah,
so that's where your big delay is now. Is there's a
what I'm
part
getting
of you
old.
that your dad has said and your mom has taught you that getting older is scary and frustrating and it's tough and it's difficult and you're going I'm getting older and older is relative to anything, right? What's the definition of old? 15 years older than you are now. So 75 is old to me, but 60 is not old. Well, when I was 45, 60 is like, oh my God, I hope I can still walk.
Hey, exactly.
Right. So start to allow yourself, start to inquiry, do self-inquiry of what version of me is afraid of 27? How old is the version of me that's afraid of 27? Because it's not 25, it's not 23, it's not 24, it's the 15-year-old. Who is literally saying, and this is the thing that's understand our signal, because we are always presenting a signal, always, always, always. Oh, we can't operate not from a signal. If you don't have a signal, there's something they call it. What do you think they call it when you don't have a signal? Dead. Literally, your vibration stops. When there's no signal, your brain could be alive, but your body's not moving, right? Your body could be alive, but your brain's not moving. They call it brain dead. Most people have been brain dead since birth. They've never used their brain to create their receiving signal, their sending signal. They've just been programmed by everyone else. Awesome job today, brother.
Sure. I had a conversation. Oh, Shiitake. Yeah, this what happened. As I was I actually didn't do nothing on Sunday because I saw my friend. So this guy, believe it or not, he works as an engineer for some kind of R&D. I'm not sure what it is.
Right?
I mean, he told me like 100 times already, but you know how guys talk, so I got no idea what he does. Anyway, he works in Iraq.
Okay.
He works in Baghdad, right? So he's out there, and apparently, despite the fact that U.S. troops have been pulled from Iraq, there's still some troops there for security reasons and so on. And he actually got the ride in a Humvee with American Marines in there, and it was so great. He was like in the movies. And then we spoke about it, and now this guy he works with me at the brokerage place. Uh, we used to work together, but he did not really have a stomach for it, so he got out of the game. And as we were talking, I realized that this guy does good work, and he loved the place at the lake. We were at the place. He loved it. He was just in love with it. And then I realized that I can't actually get that stuff that I'm feeling nostalgic towards. I mean, I can relive it in a second, a split of a second. And then I was like, okay, let's go from here. So I'm feeling fine. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Congratulations. Thanks for being vulnerable enough to share it with all of us. I love it, love it, love it. Let's go to Silka. Hey, good morning, Silka.
Hey, good morning, Sean. How are you?
Outstanding.
I expect exactly that of you because that's like me going back to the past and you are always in that state, which is good. You wouldn't want to change that.
No.
But so here's my question.
Yes.
Since we are talking about um, often people either stay stuck in the past or go back to the past. But maybe why, if it's a bad place to be, people complain. This is not working. This is too expensive. Da 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 da. And but they want to just stay there instead of moving forward. Why is that? When you say, for instance, you give someone an option or a choice to move forward, um, and either to learn something else or to be able to save money or to spend money, depending on what they wanted to do, what they complained about before. But they rather stay where they are. So maybe I just don't understand that. That's basically my
Okay,
question.
so if we go back, let's go back. Let's take psychology and break it down to the most fundamental, basic building block. Let's start with the as Vince Lombardi, the football coach of the Green Bay Packers, one of the winningest teams at the time. He was called one of the greatest coach of the time. He would start every football season with these professionals, the best of the best, with this is a football. So based on your question, let's go back to this is a brain. And the brain does two things. First and foremost, we have psychology all around these two things. And everybody who's ever done psychology or done physiology or done anything with the brain has not been able to change the two things the brain is wired for. With all of the manipulating and poking and prodding and understanding, the brain still does these two things. And what are the two things? Will this kill me? Or how fast could I recognize the pattern? So people will say, this is just like the other things. It's impossible it's like the other things. Well, I could take the words and show it to any executive of this, and they go, that's my presentation. I can make anything sound the same. So when somebody gives you such a state of it's the same, that's their brain. The question then is to ask, well, what would make it different? Well, I don't know. It's not different. Now it's this will kill me if I find the different. So if we operate from a premise when we talk to anyone at any time, in any moment, at any moment of the day, in any moment in their life, their brain is doing two things, unconsciously and subconsciously. Below their awareness, it is saying, will this kill me? And how fast can I recognize the pattern? Somebody says, well, I don't have any money. I can promise you that's not the first time in their life they've ever said that.
No, I totally agree with you on that.
So
I think
that's the
that's
pattern.
it's almost automatic.
It is
Are
automatic.
coming out of people's mouth, just like I'm hungry and I'm thirsty. Yes.
I'm hungry. What do you want to eat? I don't know. It bewilders me.
Yeah.
So that's the pattern. And if they change the pattern, it will kill them. So we have to ask. So what's happening at that moment, at that particular moment? Here's the psychology behind it. When somebody says this is a pattern, when they point out I'm not good enough, that's the same thing. I don't want to do it. I got no money. I got no time. That is a pattern they've used in the past. That is a reaction, not a response. I say up, you say down, right? That's the binary response. You triggered them to say, I don't have money. You triggered it. You brought that response to it. You didn't want that response. That's not the response, but it's almost predictable. So if they say, I don't have money, I don't have time, it's the same thing. That is their brain operating in a pattern. So we have to activate the prefrontal cortex. This is when we truly understand sales, the transference of enthusiasm, the transference of signal. We have to get them to vibrate at our signal because we instantly get the legs chopped out from underneath us. Oh, I just found this thing. You found 17 things. The hell is this one different? And you're like, you're probably right. Listen, I can promise you, you are going to work at something until you find the best version of it. And yet when somebody starts a business and we want to support them, and if their business goes out of business and they open a new business, we'll go support them. But if they go out of business again, we're going to say they're bad business people. Well, the reality is in network marketing, it ain't about the business. It's about the people. And if you're not doing well in the business, it's because you're a bad people person. Sorry, that's just the way it is. You have to learn how to understand human nature so that you can connect. Otherwise, you'll have a whole bunch of people just like you who do what you do because you're all of the same frequency. You're one of the 4 vibrational patterns, right? Whether it's disc, whether it's colors, whether it's animals, whether it's the 4 personalities. You will be in lockstep with people who are just like you, and they'll do what you do, and you'll be frustrated from now until forever. So how do we open? How do we expand? We allow somebody else to lead. And that's the hard thing, is when we finally find a place to where we can get significance, we think we need to keep the significance, and too many people run their business. I've had so many conversations of where I met somebody in an organization, whether it was when I was consulting or in other companies, and top leaders would come to me and they'd say, man, my sponsor is just a witch on a broomstick. And they would literally, because that was the place they got significance, they would drive people away unless they found the ones who kowtowed or kneel bent to their authority. And well, kowtow, it's the way cows bend down, right? All animals kneel before God when they go to lay down. Right? Yeah. So
I've never seen a cow get down, I guess.
Yeah.
I just realized that. And I never heard this term, but that's that's interesting.
By the way, you'll be happy to know, Silke, we had our first veterinary visit. We had a home visit from a vet, and he came out and he looked at all of the sheep and he said, these are all healthy sheep. I said, good. I have some friends who want to make sure I'm taking care of them. So
You never had a vet before for the sheep? I didn't realize that. Oh, wow. I guess it's different. You only get a vet if they get ill, right? It's not like a dog.
Yeah, but it's also good. You want to make sure for worms and other things that you keep them. But where we're at, up elevated, and everything's not usually standing in water, so there's no pole worms or anything like that. That's usually the big killer of sheep. So, but it was he came out and he looked at them, and they all came up to him. He's like, I've never seen a flock do this. I said, well, I have some pretty amazing friends who really love our sheep, and so they're just all friendly. He goes, I've never seen, in all my years, I've never seen a herd of sheep just literally come up to new people. He said, that doesn't happen. I said, well,
that's because you socialize them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
we spend some time with them. I said, I'll lay down in the field and they'll come lay down with me. And he's like, you guys are doing great. This is a great herd.
Yeah, because usually nobody would do that. That's very right. So they're not used to it, but they're used to people because from very small on, we've been handling them and touching them. Yeah, and you lay there with them. That's very unusual. I have tried this with my horse for years, but it will never lay down with me.
Yeah, because those people who lay down and their horse lays down with them. Like,
yes, and I see the videos and they lay down, they sleep together. And I've always wanted to cuddle with the horse, but oh hell no, she won't even lay down. I've seen her just get down and roll, because when I turn her out, she loves to just roll, but she will never just lay down. people have actually, I've never seen her just lay down, literally, and I've had her for 7 years.
Wow.
Sometimes people have sent me pictures from when they've seen her lay down because it's serious. Because I always say, oh, she never lays down. So when they see her lay down, they literally send, well, look, your horse laying down. Get over there fast. But yeah,
That's so
yeah,
cool.
it's because she was never cuddled like that when she was little.
Right.
When she was a foal. And I think that's what the reason is. I think mostly the horses that do lay down with people are either in a pasture that's close to people's homes. I've seen videos with horses actually walking into people's homes in the to get their cookie or something.
Well, the one I love now is they have ponies and they come into the house and the kids put a pillow on them and they watch TV from the back of the horse.
Oh, that's very cute.
Yeah, you'll see that now that we've talked about it and Google is listening, that algorithm will show up on your feed.
Probably. I've never seen that, but I've seen them go in the house, and especially people posting with them laying down. I'm always so jealous because I want to lay down with her. All she does is headbutt me, literally. I always have to watch out, yeah, because she moves the head, and I mean she's gotten much better. When we first got her, she wouldn't even want to give a kiss or anything.
Aw.
She was not used to any of that. Yes, because that's not how she was treated. She
Yep.
was just treated like, I don't know. I always try to treat the horse like a dog, but it's not it's not like a dog at all.
So this is an important awareness that when you took ownership of her past still came with her.
Yeah.
And you've worked with her for 7 years to get her to become more comfortable with things. She's not doing what other horses do that you see on the internet, but she's doing a lot more than she did before. So
Yeah.
the awareness is, Silke, is that everybody who comes to join you in business is showing up with their baggage. And your job is to offer them a chance of a new stable and say, listen, things are different here. You can say they're not going to be different for all of these years. Everything is different. It's the same. It's the old story. Everybody has their old story. The question is it okay if you have a new story? And your horse for the last 7 years has experienced a new story. And how do we know that? Because it's doing things it's never done before. So this is your perfect expression. You can talk about your horse and say, listen, this reminds me a lot of when we got our horse, and you can say her name. And when we got, what's your horse's name?
Zanny. Miss Annie.
Zanny. When we got Zanny.
No, it's Miss Annie.
Oh, Miss Annie. So when we got Miss Annie, she was a little rough to be around. She was raised in a way that she thought she was going to continue to be raised that way. And I don't raise that way. And over the course of the last 7 years, she's gotten so much better. And every day it's still a challenge. My question to you is that for however many years you've been around, you've been raised a certain way, you've grown a certain way. Is it okay if you get closer to more of what you want and less of what you don't? Because Miss Annie had to think a new way. She had to respond a new way. When you walked into this, and she would, not kiss, and she would flinch and stuff. She doesn't flinch like she used to, because that was a reactionary, not a response. She now has a response mechanism that when you do something, she can interact with you. That's how humans are. Now, hopefully it doesn't take 7 years for somebody to come to that awareness. Probably not. But the reality is that imagine everybody is Miss Annie before you got to work with them. And the question is are you okay with having more of what you want and less of what you don't? Because they can still come up with any excuse. It's the same. It's not the same. It's not even the same name. Right? So Yeah, it's
Yeah,
interesting
I
when
mean,
people
I
say that
think
stuff.
that's yes, and when especially with travel, there are so many different ways you can travel, and when people say, "Oh, it's all the same, just like a shake," and I'm thinking, "Oh, maybe you just haven't traveled much. I have no idea, but there are so many different ways you can create even any trip. I mean,
Yep.
I have been to some places more than once. Uh, and it's never the same. Like I've been to Athens twice, and it wasn't the same. Yes, some of the things that we saw were the same, but because I was with different people, I literally even saw them in a different light, even through I had seen that before. So when you saying that, yeah, especially with travel, that blows me away. But that is true. I mean, I don't know how I could approach it and well, I can say that's not true, but then the person is going to push back.
Well,
I
so
would
here's the
maybe tell
example.
the story, of, I have been more than once to this place and it was different each time. But could you relate to that if you haven't traveled much?
Well, here's how you take the example of I've been to the same place and seen different things is ask them, hey, do you have a favorite restaurant?
Well, I guess AJ could relate to that.
Sure. And if you ask somebody, do you ever eat someplace twice? Why would you go back? You know what it is. You've been there. Why would you ever go back to the same place? Well, because I like it. That's why I like the travel industry. I love to be able to travel at a discount. There's a place that serves steak over here and one that serves steak over there. I like one more than the other. They seem the same on the outside. If that's not your passion, steak or lobster or vegan salad, if you go back to the same place ever, why? Because you enjoy it. I enjoy travel. I'm going back to the same place. This one's got a little bit different seasoning on it. It is not the same. It looks like the same to the outsider, but if you travel, it's different. And that's why I'll go to Dubai and it's never the same. And no matter how many times I go, I know it will never be this. I could stay at the same hotel. The check-in's going to be different. The people I meet's going to be different. When I sit down at the bar is going to be different. It's going to be different. And that's the neat thing about travel. It's never the same.
Yeah, but for some people, evidently, they have made up their mind, and
Yep.
it's all the same. It's
Yep.
it's all the same. I mean, that's mind blowing to me. I mean, not even 1 minute of my day is the same as the next
Right.
because I could be feeling different.
Well, that's because, again, if we go back to human personalities, they want certainty. Right? That's a definition of certainty. Everything's the same. That's certainty that everything's going to be the same. They're not even open to the unknown, right? So certainty gives them significance because in that dialogue that he had certainty and significance by saying, listen, I'll do you a favor. That's significance. And I can promise you from that call, that person is in pain. They live their life in pain because of the significance and certainty. There is no opportunity for the unknown. And their life is in pain. It's
Their
just,
life is in pain.
yep. If you operate from certainty, I got to know what I got to know, and significance, I have to be the one who knows, your life will be in pain. You will be in struggle. You will be in constant remorse. Yep. I mean, that's just psychologically proven. That's not me. That's not something Sean came up with. That's what Jung came up with and all of the psychology. Significance and certainty. If you operate from that, your life is going to be, the majority of it's going to be existing out of pain.
But I think many people, I have no idea what the percentage might be, operate that way
About
because they
98%.
yeah, I was gonna actually was thinking that, but I thought that's like hugely high because they have to know and they like, oh no, that's too risky. Well, you can walk out and get hit by a car. I mean, you just never know. The entire life is risky. I mean, unless you maybe sit in a bubble. So Yes, people. Wow, I didn't realize it was that high. So
Yeah.
yes,
Well,
that
it's that high if you look at society. What percentage of people are wildly successful? 3%, 2%? I mean, wildly successful. Because there's a lot of people who are rich who are still struggling paycheck to paycheck. They're not rich. They got a lot of stuff, but they're not rich. If you look at the global population, it's 1% to 2%, maybe 3%.
you talking Bezos, Musk,
Well, no,
those people.
that's the Uber, right? I have some friends who are Uber, right? They because of things. I'm talking about the wealthy who have 6 months in the bank. There's very few people who have 6 months reserve in the bank. Just 6 months that if everything stopped of their income, they could still live their exact same lifestyle, still go out, still do all of the things, and have at least 6 months of inventory.
Do you think that's only um, for US and not for other countries?
No, I think it's it's human nature. It's
Interesting.
just it's brain stuff, and the brain hasn't changed in 200,000 years. It doesn't matter what language it speaks or what culture it's in. That's just brain. That's the hardware of the brain. We've got software that gets put into the hardware of language, of culture, of right. You see things differently because of your German culture than I see things of my Irish culture. There's things we can see of a European culture that's totally different than the North American culture. All of that to say that that's all software. The hardware is the wiring that got us here. And it's the fight or flight. Everything is either a pattern or going to kill me. And those who step out of that, use that awareness, have an unbelievable experience in life that those who stay in those two patterns will this kill me? And how fast can I recognize the pattern? Are the people who are constantly wanting for more because they go, this is just like everything else. Today is not like anything else.
So how do you get people to see that
Literally using psychology, we have to activate their prefrontal cortex for them to awaken from their coma.
Awaken from the coma?
Yeah,
But
they're in
what
this
would
coma.
you say?
So I would say, hey, listen, I'm curious. Tell me what your story is next year. What are you talking about? A year from now. What is your design? Well, I mean, I sure as hell don't want to be here. They don't have a clue. Everybody is operating from where they've been. They're telling me where they've been. Everything's the same, telling me where they've been. I've done this before, where they've been. Nobody, very few people that I encounter will tell me where they're going. Everybody wants to talk about, we just bombed Iran. We did this. What are we doing tomorrow? What do you, that happened 3 days ago, a week ago. What are you doing tomorrow? I don't know. And then tomorrow shows up and they're like, what the hell am I doing today? So we have to literally operate their prefrontal cortex. We have to turn it on. And the way we turn it on is say, hey, listen, what time is it? What do you mean what time it is? We made them so uncomfortable about simply asking the time because they were in their old story, they were in their significance and in their certainty, that we took them out of that, like, well, it's 7:30, it's 7:45. Awesome. Tell me what happens tomorrow. What would your best day tomorrow be like? What are you talking about? You can't even have a conversation about the next 24 hours. That's how programmed people are to talk from their past. Yet the only way we're going to get them to listen to what we're talking about in the now is to break the pattern of the old. And you can't do it by talking about the old.
Well, I think I see that also in people that have been very incredibly successful. Say, for instance, with network marketing, sometimes people have been so incredibly successful, but then they have not been able to duplicate that again.
Because it wasn't them who was successful.
What do you mean?
It was somebody they enrolled. It was the timing of a particular product in a particular marketplace. They had very little to do with the success. I had very little to do. I enrolled 2 people and opened up 8
Yes, you
countries.
keep saying that, and it's like
I'm just
it
telling you.
blows my mind.
I had nothing. I had now I put a lot of time in the one individual of the 2 brothers. I spent 6 years mentoring them. But
Okay.
that was a couple hours a month, maybe. And I helped him start his own company and do different things and this, that, and the other. And then there was a moment to where they were fed up and they said, I can't do this anymore. I need you to guide me. I need your help. I said, okay. They never asked for it at that level before. They asked to be mentored in this way. So all I'm saying is that I enrolled one who I got his brother as well. So it was a twofer. I enrolled one, got 2, and that 2 turned into 7 countries, 13 million in volume, and 20,000 people.
Yep, that's definitely
So everybody says, "Oh, he opened
the
up all Latin
magic of
American."
people. What?
They would say, they would bring me on stage saying he opened Latin America. I go, I had nothing to do with Latin America. I had everything to do with the connection that I gave them the opportunity to go do what they did well.
So they opened,
I
but
was,
I mean,
yeah, I was the
They-
one
but-
responsible.
right, because they would have never known
would have never
about
come to
this opportunity if it wouldn't have been for you. I take it. That's why.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
So all that being said, I had conversations with 2 of the top leaders yesterday. They've started their own crypto company 2-3 years ago. They just celebrated their 3rd anniversary, doing wild success. And he says, I talk about you every day on stage. I said, I'm honored.
Oh, that's so wonderful. You're living on in their lives.
So how can you create? And so that's part of this see who you can become. Because I promise if I went down into El Salvador, which is where the headquarters of the company is, and got on stage, this is a little ego thing. I know if I stood on stage and they said, listen, I get to bring up my mentor, Sean, everybody in the room would know who I am. They go, oh my gosh, he talks about you all the time. It doesn't matter where they are. Have you taken up enough heart space and brain space in their life to see who they could become, to see who you could become?
Wow.
And they still talk about me. And every now and then they'll call me and they'll ask me to do some high level stuff with their leaders. And what the funny thing is what I say is exactly what they've been telling them. They're like, well, Richie's been saying that the whole time. I'm like, truth is truth. I don't know why you needed me on the call. So all I'm saying is that you have a unique opportunity, Silke, to allow people to build their legacy. And listen, it was some of the hardest work I've ever done without having to do any hard work. I wasn't there doing 25 Zoom calls a week. They were. And that was in Latin America at the time. They didn't use Zoom. They were a one-on-one, person-to-person meeting. And when COVID came, I was in, where was I? I was in Panama. No, I was in Costa Rica on the last day they let planes fly out of Costa Rica because everything was being shut down. There were people who couldn't get back to El Salvador. They had to drive. They couldn't fly. All the planes shut down. So I know what happened. And then they're like, what do we do with our business? And that's when I taught Zoom. And they learned Zoom. And all of a sudden, everybody's business grew exponentially because they realized it was a cultural shift. So the question then becomes, this isn't like anything else you've ever done. Are you okay with seeing what new is available to you? So that's all. I love it.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You always open my mind to more possibilities.
Well, here's the neat thing. You have got to give yourself a little JM3, Joseph McClendon III, pat on the back for allowing yourself to be open to it. That's significant. That's the thing. The question is that can you offer people a chance? Hey, listen, I've learned some new things. So even if it looks like the same, I'm somebody completely different going into this. So it's going to be different. Are you okay with experiencing something new in a way you've never experienced before. Because I do that on a daily basis now. And give people a chance to change the way they look at things. Right? You get to say, I would learn the Wayne Dyer phrase, and you know it, but I would say, do you ever hear the phrase by Wayne Dyer, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change? I've done that in the last 18 months. And I got to tell you, some things I looked at have really changed.
Ah, you're so good with your words. Can I just implant your brain into mine, just a little piece, maybe?
Just a little piece.
Just a little. You're
installed.
only willing to share a little piece.
I'll share all of it.
Thank you, thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
I'm receiving it. I'm open to receive the love of your brain.
Love it, love it.
Love you. Thank you.
Love
Thank
you,
you.
love you, love you.
Thank
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Have an
Anyone
amazing
else?
day.
Thank you. You too, Silke. Love you tons. Anyone else? Any last thoughts, comments, questions, takeaways? Scooby-Dooby-Doo. All right, my little eaglees. I love you tons. I appreciate you. I'm going to say no on tonight's 8 a.m., 8 p.m. call. It could change. I'll know by noon. But, and if you don't see a text from noon or a post by noon or something, just know that you've got the evening free to work on your stuff. I appreciate you tons. I'm your head brain training, brain scrambling. See who you can become, Misfit. I'll see y'all where?
At the next event.
At the next event.
Yep. Somebody give me some Costa Ricas.
Pura vida.
Pura vida.
Da vida. Somebody give me some Costa. Some Lydia.
Peace be with us.
Yes.
Be with us all. And the queen of helping you see who you could become, Jessie Lee Ward.
Awesome.
Leslie.
We love you, girl. A little white, fluffy.
Gregory.
All right, everybody, go have some fun today. See who you can become. And ask that question. I wonder who they could become. But see who you can become first. I'll see y'all tonight, probably most likely tomorrow. Until then, bye for now.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, everybody.